Yeah, I'm gonna just give y'all a warning. I'm not really finna be doing too much editing on it. I mean, I don't know if you noticed that on the last previous videos. You know, you might hear a little bit of a, some shit like that every once in a while. But after that, let's get straight to the point. I think, as I keep on saying on this channel, a nigga only 24, and I guess this is gonna be another video on my perspective on relationships, because I keep seeing others into it, and it just keeps on reminding me about certain things that these people who swear that they're in love, trying to pursue a future, going up and down, typically end up looking like, just overall just infatuation, or just how strongly these motherfuckers feel about their partners typically end up leaving them goofy. And it's hard for me to relate, because I'm that person. Even at my young age, at least compared to them, I've been hurt enough to, I'm not that person that just suddenly goes aloof to certain shit, like how some people say when they get into a relationship or even a situationship. I have a friend I have known for a minute, and let me think. I know for a fact that he is the type of person that if he feels strongly enough for somebody, to him, that's enough to make him think that he's in love. I don't know where this misconstrued perception came from, or, if he feels strongly enough about somebody, that's enough for him to think that it's going to last forever. It's like he get in the euphoric infatuation stage, and he pretty much just tries his hardest not to leave it. And I know that idealistically sound right, but infatuation and actually like admiring and knowing your partner inside out is two different things in my opinion. But I don't think that seemed to click in this motherfucker's head. I'm gonna go to the first example after now that we got that part out the way. I remember, I believe he was 18. And, he got his girlfriend, and, I guess it was like a hell important to him that he lost his V card or whatever the fuck, or, just be having women to talk to for a certain period. Everybody goes through that. My problem is with him, I also don't even like the fact that he consistently date women that's like younger than him. Like, I don't know, we're only 24, but even 21, like, even though you only spent like 3 years out of high school, a lot of these motherfuckers that he's typically dating don't be having their maturity. Like, one was 19, I think, with one kid. I'm just like, yo, she's a failure right off rip. Like, you out here playing stepdaddy for somebody leftovers? My fault, that may sound dehumanizing, but that's specifically the whole point. Because due to how it turned out, and, she's saying things like, oh, yeah, I need a leader. I'm like, bro, she's a grown-ass woman. She needs to be able to adjust and adapt on her own. If she comes in and expects you to be the savior, you're being used from the get-go. I even told him that straight up. He was just like, that's just how some women want to be, or that's just the risk I'm willing to take. I told him that's the only thing I don't like. Like, I don't like how she said that, and I don't like how, you thinking you about to be hella long term with this motherfucker that already done fucked up. I'm sorry to say that, because I know it's gonna hurt some hoes' feelings, regardless of whatever reason that they were doing it for. The more experience you get, especially, I'd even say more in the romantic field than the being sexually active, the more somebody get used to disposing, past romantic relationships, the easier it will be for them. Like, this is just shit you could just look up. So if she thought that same way how you were thinking, and even progressively allowed herself to have a planned kid with him when only being a year out of high school, not having nowhere to live sufficiently, and not even a consistent way to feed her own kid, and have to live separately away from them, I think those are enough red flags to let you know that this woman isn't making enough good life decisions for y'all to potentially go anywhere in the long term. It'd be different if you came in and she was already progressive in one way or another, whether that she at least had a car, Like, come on now. Like, that's another thing, too. I think dudes, they need to be somewhat more superficial when it comes to choosing a long-term partner. Everyone wants to put faith into, like, a bum, whether that's a man or a woman. And yes, I'm not going to exclude the women, because for some odd reason, when these relationship conversations come up, when it comes to money, they only focus on the man. But statistically, 78% of America live check to check. So just the fact that, whether you're pretty, handsome, got a lot of hoes, niggas, whatever the fuck it is, or whatever you're using to cope or boost your ego and make you believe that, you're a good enough option, or that you can get a good enough option, which I'm not saying you're either wrong either. But typically, those same sexual and romantic feelings you may feel for your situations and relations, they need to get thrown out the window. Like, okay, like, it's like when I'm talking to other motherfuckers my age, they don't get like, okay, I got me a baddie. We could post hella Instagram pictures, we fuck, and we feel strongly about each other. And now, just since we had a couple of conversations, this is going to work long term, and we're going to be together forever and make the shit work in whatever fucking way. And especially the women that use this as an excuse, at least on the internet, because if we're being honest, this is one of these things that, people say on the internet more than in real life, or would even dare say on a date. Motherfuckers, I don't care how bold they get on these platforms and be like, a man and woman should do this. Put a man and woman they genuinely like and want long term in front of them, and see how fast a motherfucker switch up. It's like Andrew Tate and Fresh and Fit. Now I feel like he's going through a potential similar situation. I don't know the complete ins and out as of now. I don't know if he managed to move into his friend, or with his friend spot to whatever extent. But hopefully, I know you make over 1,000. If you can't get your hands on a car no time soon, you're realistically not going to make it nowhere with her. And you're probably going to get left eventually. Because everybody likes, holding on to dreams and telling each other or their partner, when the idea comes up to head, how much they're willing to pursue from their dreams. But then when it's time to be disciplined or make a couple sacrifices, or time to actually show up when it's time for it, that's when motherfuckers disappear, even though they have the same feelings and willing to say the same thing. And that, once again, that's another thing I'm starting to notice consistently go over people's head. And it's sort of embarrassing. We're only 24. You're only close to 30. Like, there's some things I feel like that just shouldn't have to be taught. And shit, I think me being like a waiter, like somebody who was a late bloomer and goddamn waited to get in relationships, got played before, and got to see a lot of red flags, not only through my mistakes from even trying to entertain situations and watching other people. It just helps me go a long way. It helps me prevent a lot of the BS. That's one approach I get confused a lot of people do not take. Learn how to reposition yourself from a position to not get hurt in the long run, or at least disappointed, or you stop projecting these false ideas just because you're horny or think you're in love and got the your heart racing and you feel hella good when you think of this person. That's just one of those things I would love to say is common sense, but it's just like I feel everyone around me just being goofy. It's almost as if everybody try to act as if they got it figured out, but then when it's time to break down situations, all the water slipped in between the cracks. I want to give another example. There was another girl who, not another girl, not with this person in specific, but there was one in the past. She's not the first one, but there's some who, I remember I was in a situation, I think I was 21, and them just gonna throw it out there. She had a boyfriend at the time, and obviously I think my intentions was pretty clear after someone flat out tell you that, you know what I'm saying? But she tells me she get into physical fights and arguments with her boyfriend, and he ended up randomly blocking her. And, he's like, they typically argue, get back, and all this other stuff. And, whatever the hell they decide to do, that's not nothing I'm specifically against. But one thing I feel like that the clock isn't ticking about, isn't ticking for, is what crosses your mind to think that you're going to tell me that, and just because you feel comfortable with me, that I'm going to pursue a relationship with you. And as soon as I told her no, I think it went downhill from there. But I was like, what the fuck? are you doing or thinking or managed to believe based off of what you've seen to make you think that this was going to be a full, long-term, happy relationship? You know what I'm saying? It's just certain shit I don't get. I remember watching a video of this girl talking about hookup culture or just overall like her experiences with sex. And you know me personally, I don't give a fuck how much somebody has sex, but when they're telling me the things that I feel like be common sense, because it's like, oh, we went through a long relationship, we didn't even communicate or talk about it, we're just having sex just to have sex, like, nobody's even getting pleased or nobody decided to speak up, and then it went on for this long period of time. I was like, yo, this is just sad. Like, the low, that just to get to the point, that lets you know how low somebody's standards is. They'll do something they don't want to do that's uncomfortable because they feel like they're supposed to do it because this is that type of relationship. It's more as if they're chasing after the ideal versus actually putting pieces of the puzzle together or actually communicating. Somebody summed it up in a comment. He was like, bad sex is just a lack of communication. Shit, I completely agree with the motherfucker. But the woman I'm watching is around my age who said she's been having, quote unquote, a lot of sex and a lot of relationships. And, she said some of them she wasn't even sexual. And, that's once again cool. But, for you to be a certain age, and it's like, remember, we're all grown, right? I don't know how long it's going to take for people to realize it. Like, I'm going to look shit up before. I remember losing, like, my virginity, like, my first time, like, getting some fellatio. My fault if this doesn't sound too vulgar for y'all. And, I wasn't really comfortable. It was just pressured, and the whole time I'm daydreaming about Mortal Kombat. That one uncomfortable inexperience alone led me to doing more research, to figuring out things that older people would tell me to do, such as communication, without even having to consistently go through that, if you get what I'm saying. The lack of knowledge these motherfuckers have in general, it just sort of feels as if it's no excuse. Like, I feel sorry to sometimes say, like, yeah, I feel better than some people, but sadly enough, that is just the fucking truth, like, half the time. These motherfuckers will happily go through relationships simply based off of how they feel throughout a period. Remember, not throughout the whole relationship, but throughout their period, just because they feel as if it's ideal, or, that's what they're supposed to do, or they're too uncomfortable. Me, I don't get what motherfuckers I feel too uncomfortable with. But here goes goofies on platforms giving out advice when they really should just be shutting the fuck up, showing themselves to look like a clown. I'm sorry I'm judgmental on the topic, but I'm going to be judgmental because based off of what you do shows part of your character. If you're willing to consistently doing that, you're doing it for the wrong reason. It lets me know you're probably chasing more of the ideal versus an actual happy, long-lasting, communicative, open, expressive relationship. And it's like, like, how dumb can these motherfuckers be? Motherfuckers just be going through relationships because they want to be loved on or just somebody to claim versus actually wanting a healthy relationship.